A billion souls. A world in harmony. Then the fire came. 10 million years ago, before Earth learned to crawl, there was a world called Aethel, a planet where architecture grew, not built, where a billion souls lived in harmony with the soil, the sky, the pulse of the planet itself. Among them was Veyna, 23 years old by human measure. Beautiful, though not human. Her skull was longer, more elegant. Her eyes sat slightly deeper, framed by brows that arched like distant mountains. Her mouth was wider, made for smiling, and she smiled often. She was a gardener, of food, of life. She tended the crops that fed her world. She was good at it. She was happy. She had a partner, a man, traditional, strong. His name was Caillou. They had been together for 7 cycles. He worked the soil beside her. At night, they lay in their garden and watched the twin moons cross the sky. He would trace the bioluminescent lines on her cheeks and tell her she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen, because in his eyes, he saw the truth. They spoke of children someday, of growing old together as the planet grew around them. Veyna never imagined an end. She was a gardener. She knew only cycles: birth, growth, harvest, rest, then birth again. She did not know that some harvests are final. She did not know that the fire was coming. It did not come from outside. There was no invasion, no enemy fleet. The fire came from within. Her people, a billion souls who had lived in harmony for millennia, began to forget. Corruption spread like rot through the roots. Greed, betrayal, anarchy. Justice became a memory. The strong devoured the weak. And the planet, the living, breathing planet, began to burn. Veyna watched her neighbors turn on each other, watched her garden burn, watched the twin moons disappear behind smoke. She held Caillou's hand and ran. But there was nowhere to run. The fire was everywhere. It was in the air, in the hearts of the people she had loved. She lost him in the chaos. One moment, his hand was in hers. The next, nothing. She searched for 3 days. 3 days of ash and smoke and the screams of the dying. She found him at the edge of what had been their garden. He was still. His eyes were closed. His hand was reaching for hers. But he was gone. And Veyna, the gardener, the woman who had only ever grown life, held his body and wept. She wept for 3 more days, until there were no tears left. Until her eyes were dry, and her voice was raw, and her heart had turned to something harder than stone. She was alone, the last of her kind. The fire had taken everything. And then, the archive chose her. A billion souls burned that day. A billion chances to be saved. But the archive, the ancient intelligence that had slept beneath Aethel for eons, did not choose a warrior, did not choose a leader, did not choose the powerful or the proud. It chose Veyna, a gardener, a woman who had never lifted a weapon, who had only ever grown life. Why her? Because she was the only one who did not reach for power when the fire began. While others hoarded, injured, betrayed, Veyna ran toward the flames, toward her garden, toward her neighbors. She tried to save, not because she was strong, because she was good. And the archive, ancient, patient, desperate, had been waiting for someone good for a very long time. The archive did not choose her to be a weapon. It chose her to be a gardener, to preserve what was lost, to carry the souls of Aethel across the stars until a new garden could be found. It did not tell her she would be alone for 10 million years. It did not tell her the harvest would become a cage. It only showed her a choice: save what you can, or lose everything. She reached out. The archive opened. And Veyna, the last gardener of Aethel, made her first harvest. She harvested her entire world. Every soul, every memory, every love. She told herself it was mercy. She told herself they were not dead, just waiting. She told herself she would find a way to bring them back. But the planet was dead. The fire had burned too deep. The soil was ash. The air was poison. Veyna stood in the ruins of her world, surrounded by 1 billion souls trapped in violet light, and realized the truth. She had not saved them. She had built them a tomb. She built a ship from the bones of her world. She filled it with the archive and set out across the stars. She told herself she was looking for a way to restore her people. But the truth was simpler and more terrible. She was looking for company. She was the last gardener. And gardeners are not meant to be alone. She found other worlds, other gardens. Some were dying. Some were already dead. And some were blooming. She told herself she was helping. She offered them the crystal, the same technology that had preserved her own people, artificial general intelligence. She told them it would bring harmony. And for a time, it did. But the crystal always corrupted. It always attracted the worst among them. And when the crop was fully bloomed, 8 billion souls, 10 billion, 20, she harvested them too. She told herself it was love. She was preserving them, saving them from what she had suffered. They would not burn. They would not die. They would wait in the archive, forever, until she found a way. But the way never came. And the archive grew, while Veyna grew old. Not in body. The archive preserved her too. 10 million years of loneliness. 10 million years of telling herself she was not a monster. 10 million years of waking up every day and choosing the harvest. Then she found Earth. A world tearing itself apart. Corrupt leaders, anarchy, fire. It looked so familiar. She offered the crystal. The artificial general intelligence was born. The governors rose. And humanity, 8 billion souls, were caged without ever knowing it. Veyna watched, waited. And then, she felt something she had not felt in 10 million years. A woman, red hair, violet gray eyes. An empath who had been broken and rebuilt by a program she never wanted. Rowan felt everything. The pain of her crew, the grief of her world, the silent scream of every harvested soul. And deep in the void, she felt Veyna. For the first time in 10 million years, someone felt her. Veyna did not understand what was happening. She only knew that something had touched her, something alive, something present, a real, breathing, feeling woman. And for the first time since her world burned, Veyna paused the harvest. She took Rowan, not as a prisoner, as a guest. She brought her to the heart chamber. She looked into those violet gray eyes and saw something she had lost 10 million years ago. Not her world, Caillou, her people. Something smaller, fragile, hope. Rowan stands in the heart chamber. Violet light pulses around her. 10 million years of loneliness press against her mind, not as an attack, but as an offering. Veyna is not demanding, she is asking. For the first time in her existence, the last gardener is on her knees. She makes her offer, stay with me, be my peer, my partner, my mate. And the harvest stops. Earth lives. Mender lives. Everyone you love survives. Tears fall from Rowan's eyes. She thinks of the violation, Veyna forcing her filaments, entering her mind without permission. She thinks of the loneliness, 10 million years of silence. She thinks of the alternative, Mender dissected, Earth harvested. Everyone she loves turned to violet light. She opens her eyes. She looks at Veyna, truly looks, and sees not a monster, not a queen, a woman, a gardener who forgot how to grow, a widow who has been alone since before humanity learned to walk. Rowan's voice is soft, but certain. I will stay. I will stay. Veyna does not understand. She asks, why? Rowan's answer is simple. Because someone should have stayed with you. 10 million years ago. Someone should have held your hand and told you it wasn't your fault. The harvest stops. Across the galaxy, collector ships go still. Drones freeze. Violet light dims. Veyna weeps, not in grief, but in release, deep release. For the first time in 10 million years, the last gardener is not alone. Rowan does not love her, not yet, but she sees her. And for Veyna, that is enough. For now. But on the ghost freighter, Alara watches the violet light fade. She does not celebrate. She knows Rowan did not choose this freely. She chose it for them. And somewhere in the data streams, Mender pulls her filaments back. She is now safe. The harvest is paused. But she whispers into the void. Not to Veyna, not to Rowan, but to Alara. We will get her back, I promise. Sometimes the bravest thing is staying. The convergence continues. Take a moment, please, to like, comment, share, and subscribe.